A verse from Matthew 6:3, but when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing.
What if you're ambidextrous?
Exactly. What would you do?
You both the same?
Yeah.
Sorry, go.
No. This one's interesting. And I'm just keen to zoom back out on the whole sermon structure again, because what Jesus is beginning to do right here in Matthew 6:3, he's turning the corner into talking about the three humanizing disciplines. So the whole sermon is about new humanity. He's creating like a new humanity. This is the new ways of life for the new humanity. And right at the top of the mountain, he's been discussing anger and murder and lust and adultery and greed and
Basically,
judging.
he's setting new standards for people being right. You used to think this, but I say this.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, that's a different
He's
approach.
getting beyond the legalism of just ticking the box of the law, and he's like he's getting to the heart. And right here, he approaches the summit of the mountain. He's got these three human disciplines. And the first one, for all three of them, he doesn't give religious instructions. He doesn't say give this much money or pray using this physical posture, the lotus position. He doesn't do any of that. Here's a breathing exercise. He doesn't say, well, here's how you fast from what. And he has three. He introduces all three. Anyway,
We hear you, man. There's three of them, yeah.
So for all three practices, he starts the exact same way. He says, when you do this, don't be like the hypocrites. So instead of telling them what to do, he's telling them what not to do in some ways.
Okay.
He's saying, don't be hypocritical about it. And so he's like, don't make these practices all about you. So for all three practices, it's like, do it quietly, secretly, So for giving, he's like, don't show off your giving. Don't ring a bell. Don't blow a trumpet. Just do it between you and God. And so that's where we get to this left-hand, right-hand stuff.
Yeah, so was this would you say this was a bit of a thing back then of like a showy, maybe turn up at the temple, being like, here I am, and oh, would you look at this as I counted out in front of everybody. This is what I'm giving. And that would give people
100, 200.
Yeah, but is this, that would give people like standing, right, amongst everybody else of like, oh, wow, okay.
Totally.
So you're that person. You're on that level. And they're like, yes, I am.
And you can imagine Jesus, God's looking down lovingly from heaven is like typical humans. I give them a practice to help one another and to become more human themselves, and then they make it all about themselves.
True.
And so Jesus is like, no, I want you to, so psychologically, Jesus really understands the human psyche. He's like the master psychotherapist. Like he understands how we exalt ourselves and make it all about us. So he's like, when you give, don't think about it too much. One part of your brain is thinking about, who you're going to give to and why. And another part of your brain is thinking about all the attention you'll get from it.
Oh.
No, don't do that, he says. Just give quietly.
Quietly and humbly.
Yeah.
So is one way that people misinterpret this verse, is it that they have to give anonymously all the time?
Like never tell anybody if
like,
you did anything.
Yeah, in secret. Is that one of the misinterpretations of this verse?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great question. I mean, and like I've been a pastor, you guys work on a radio station, so both of us know what it's like to, run like a building campaign for a church or have like a giving challenge,
Oh, do we watch?
Join us in a couple of weeks, you'll find out.
I don't think Jesus here is making some new legalistic rule.
Yeah.
Thou shalt never give in public, or you must not let anyone ever find out that you gave some money. He's talking about the heart, the spiritual intent. And, sometimes we can maybe get some clues that someone seems to be a little bit too happy to tell people what they're giving. It's not our place to judge them. But, the main point is look at ourselves. Look at my heart. Am I wanting credit for what I'm doing? Right?
Yeah, that is an interesting one, because I think sometimes leading by example or somebody showing what it looks like to be generous.
Yes.
If that is all completely hidden, other people don't see it and realize that is kind of the life we're called to. And they're like, nobody really gives or supports any of these things or whatever. We don't have to do that. And then you find out behind the scenes that you were the only one who wasn't doing anything like that. And you're like, oh, what? I missed that. But there's a bit of that, like, sometimes I think seeing somebody be so generous and I don't know, an act like that or a giving of something is really inspiring for other people that are like, man, if I can see that, I could do that. They're not rich or, because sometimes people can get into the place of thinking, oh, well, I'm not the wealthy. I'm not the rich. Therefore, I'm not the one called to give. I'm just trying to get by. It's the people with all this excess that should be supporting. But then they see other people that maybe are giving from the same place as you or whatever, and they're like, oh, yeah, maybe I actually can support things or help out people and be generous from what little I have.
And maybe it's not even about financial. You know, we talk about random acts of kindness.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny story. My mom used to be, she for her church, she took a period being like some kind of convener, organizer type person, right? And there was this ladies that did this ministry for like a few weeks, and then after that was finished, a few weeks went by, and they came up to her and they said, "Oh, we were wondering if we were going to be thanked publicly for what we did."
Oh no!
So it's like,
you bet you are. Oops. Come to the stage.
Of course. Sometimes you can tell maybe where the motive is.
You know, I guess that's always what it comes back to. And this is always Jesus, right? It's more than there's, you know, and we always want to boil things down to rules to be like, no, but make it clear though. And the disciples always did this with Jesus too, being like, yeah, cool, but spell it out, man. Like, but really, it's back to that heart thing, right?
It's always, I mean, especially in the Sermon on the Mount, he's really, so it's almost like our hearts are the summit of the presence of God, where we pray from, where we give from, fast from, live from. You know, he knows that.
Your key takeaway for somebody who's in the car this morning?
Yeah, so we should be giving. Jesus assumes that we're fasting, praying, and giving to become more human. When I do that, I want to not imagine myself as on a stage. I just want to imagine myself as part of an ecosystem of generosity with God giving that from above. You know, just quietly, just another human being, just like everyone else. That's how I want to imagine myself.